Oh, okay.
No, I'll take you, yeah, like, 7. I'll head out.
Thank you.
If anybody else needs to ride there, I'll let them do.
Question.
What's up?
So why is the survey not sent in to the people who visited Watkins in months other than those particular?
They don't want to overload patients with, it's kind of a, you don't necessarily need to have every patient who comes in, take a survey. It's like they
Yes,
can get a
but
sufficient sample
I
size.
have like a few students, like they always complain about the way the insurance and Watkins work, so. But when they visit, but if that is not the month, then they will never get the survey, so like me, I never got that survey. I just feel like, okay, they don't.
It's a pretty common thing, and they don't survey everyone who comes in. It's not a, there's a number of concerns there, construction related and whatnot. So, you know, you can ask that for Ellen, but.
Who is Ellen? No, the person who.
Yes, the person.
Who else is on this advisory board?
There's a few. Can I get you the list later?
Or like maybe like, because this is like, if every voice matters, then everybody should be able to do the survey, because I feel like my voice doesn't matter if nobody is asking me.
I don't think that's necessarily true, but I think that's what we can deal with that a later day. So I have a lot of stuff on my plate right now that I have to do.
Okay, we can mess that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harrison. I'll see you guys there like, yeah, a few hours.
Okay.
Should be seeing it on the back. Saw y'all over in the studio playing badminton.
I had a language, I've been out.
Oh, really?
All right, thank you. Yeah.
I have not attempted a leg PR for about 2 years. And I thought, you know what, let's try. Yeah, go up by like 50 pounds. But no, that's not.
What happened to your leg?
So. I kind of tried to leg press it 900 pounds and like, I tried to push it back up and then they just stopped up. So, but it's only my left leg now. My right is fully recovered. But last week. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I used to be able to do it, but I've gotten.
How's your presentation going on then? Yeah, it's been going.
You don't want to talk about my check.
Are we the last? Yeah, the last person today.
Oh my God. My little brother.
Yeah, we've been going since 3 o'clock today, so.
I think it's like a genetic thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, my chest, not so much. We don't talk about that ever.
So you don't want to hear about our 2-hour presentation? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Just do the center.
I was just gonna grab it off of the invite code and just text it to her. Unless actually, I wonder if I can email it directly to her. That's gonna. Worse.
Jason, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing okay, thank you.
Ready for the end of the day?
I'm so very ready.
Hey.
Very good.
Super nice day. Outside. You guys couldn't be out.
That's true. Just been ringing me.
Right.
Do you all have your present, you have a presentation or are you just speaking?
For a presentation.
Okay, is it in the SharePoint already?
I.
Yeah.
Put it in SharePoint.
Okay.
Casey said she was gonna move
She
it
would-
somewhere, but,
I'll check to see if you did. If not, I'll move it.
okay.
She should have. I'm sure she did. Yep. Yes.
Okay.
I'll get it pulled up and then we'll probably start at like 6:15. If that's okay. Okay.
It's your show.
We're just here. We don't want to take any time away from your break. We need all.
Yeah. There's Casey.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Casey.
Hey, thanks for getting that sent to me.
Yep. Trying to figure out how to get it to actually share the screen so that you can see.
Oh.
It really doesn't like it for some reason.
Try to close that and then go back to share again.
I wonder if I present, like, make the presentation into presentation mode. And then, okay, that's the wrong thing every time.
Is the presentation pulled up in a separate screen?
Yeah, I'm trying to,
Did Watkins get done really early?
no, Watkins ended at 6, rec starts at 6:15.
Oh, okay.
They had a break.
Hello, Casey.
Hey. I told you I'll be here.
Yeah.
There you go, I got it.
Okay, cool.
I can see it. Okay, I'm here. I'm just gonna get my son ready to kick him out the door to basketball practice.
All right.
You know, they'll kind of just online sort of thing.
But you're really excited about.
I'm really excited. If we're all ready.
And then you, on Friday.
I think we have one more. On top.
Usually. What's your name?
Maddie.
Maddie. And, when you're,
I'm sorry.
and how'd you get on the,
Well, I was, I haven't seen it since freshman year.
It'd be a pretty neat process. I mean, it's very involving, obviously.
It's very professional. Yeah, I'm excited. And so.
Yeah.
Right up my-
So I did in the piece, right, for $1,000. So did that. That needs to be on your record.
I know. Very good.
Good. Where you from?
I'm about it. Yeah. There's like five, yeah, there's a lot of them. They all have a lot of students. So. I don't see that. All right. No. You're walking on it. I don't feel that. Oh, I'm. This was. No, I just. No, I don't.
Oh, you see, those in there.
Say, don't.
Yes, it's just waiting, right? Yeah. But then the deliberations, start on, which this is part. We presented on this. I bet she'll let Jason off today. Yeah.
Yeah. That was long.
It's the 12 hour period. Those things a lot, just everything. It's right at 27. It's $12. Unless you want to fall under our student loan obligations.
That money is.
That's it to the credit rating.
I think.
What we're doing.
Oh, that one.
In reality, we already had additional
Yeah, so.
I'm aware of this kind of restriction. This will down. Historically, is what we've done. I'm not doing. I'm not doing. It's on your Friday.
I'm with you on Friday. Because it was. It's online. Yeah.
These are fantastic. Sure. I'm a gentleman, what can I say? All right, fellas, your presentation, oh, you already got it pulled up, wow, you're ahead of me. Yay, okay, so wait, previously worked in the only way you can advance slides.
Yeah.
You had to click. Okay, so if you click, stop, you had to exit out, do that. So. So
How do we advance?
we have the arrow keys, you can also put, so that's good for us. I don't know why it's doing this.
And then I can't see it now.
Yeah, I know.
If you, You just can't go into like full screen mode and then it works. Like,
Okay,
the way that I
so-
set up.
Put this in idiot's term because that's who you're talking to. How do
So
I,
make the presentation itself not full screen?
like that? Wait. So we're just gonna have to do it like this?
Is, well, yeah, there was a way that, I don't know how I did it before.
May I ask a question? Who's watching the live stream?
It's Casey, I believe.
No, I'm not on the live stream. I'm only on the
Oh,
Zoom.
she's on the Zoom.
Earlier, when I couldn't make it.
Yeah,
So I say, right now, there aren't others watching, if you can see that, I prioritize people being able to see it here. If it's,
I can't see the viewers on the live stream.
Oh, yeah.
Casey, can you, wait, let's see.
Yeah.
right at the bottom, it says one.
One viewer.
And it could be you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's actually a great point.
Yeah, it could just be you because you have it open.
Now we have 0. Okay, wonderful.
Because the live stream people can still hear, right? They just can't.
It was, the audio is spotty in this room because there's no microphone sound system. Casey, I really hate to do this to you. Can you look at the PowerPoint on your own machine so that we can blow this up for everybody up here?
I sure can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Apologies. Okay, last one of the day. Please hang in there. We're almost there. We can go home and go to bed, or we can go to full Senate. Sounds like so much fun after this, right? God. Anyway, we have recreation services in. I'm probably going to be using their facilities later tonight, as I assume most of you will. They're an important part of our campus, and I look forward to hearing their presentation. Please welcome Jason Crone and his colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for allowing us this opportunity. I do want to just give a quick introduction. We'll introduce each other, introduce ourselves.
I'm Harrison. I'm an employee at the rec center. I'm a junior mechanical engineering major. She graduated 2024, but I just got accepted to the MBA graduate program, so I'll be graduating from that 2025, hopefully.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My name is Jill Yurkowski. I'm the Senior Associate Director with Rec Services. I oversee programs, so intramurals, sport clubs, marketing, outdoor pursuits, and fitness and wellness as well. So
And I'm Jason Crone, Director. I've been at KU 2 different stints for about 25 total years, and Director for about 7. So a little bit about what we're going to talk about tonight. One thing I do want to point out is that we really do believe that students are an important part of our process. And kind of 2 examples of that. One is that we have Harrison here with us tonight to present, but also even though it wasn't required, we went ahead and presented our budget to a rec advisory board. And we did that in early January, so we could talk to them and get their feedback about what we're presenting to you tonight. So we believe that's an important part of the overall process. Other things you'll just see, Harrison will talk. We'll talk about our facility maintenance fee. We'll talk about our operations fee, what our ask is, and then we'll open it up to plenty of questions for you guys.
Well, I'm here to talk a little bit about the impact of the recreation center, just real quick, getting started with that. So once again, reintroduce myself. I'm Harrison, junior mechanical engineering major, blah, 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 blah. But I'm also a program manager over at the rec center, which means I mainly involve myself in the hiring of employees. I do all the training, scheduling for my specific program area, and really interact with them on a daily basis, as well as people who come into the rec center on a daily basis as well. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like why the rec center is such an important place to me personally. I originally started going to the rec center probably freshman year, second semester, 2021, pretty rough COVID year, right? Kind of isolating, being locked up in my dorm all the time, not really having the KU experience like I wanted to have, not really building those connections, making those relationships like I wanted to. And so, you know, as I'm sort of entering into my seasonal depressive disorder, I get up and my friend is telling me about heading down to the rec center. So I decide one day, you know, one morning I wake up early, slink down from my top of the bunk bed on the dorm and head down the hill to the rec center and just, you know, get a quick workout in and just start doing that, you know, probably 2 to 3 days every week for a while, and just started noticing significant improvements in myself. You know, waking up earlier, so I'm having, you know, longer days. I'm getting better sleep, eating better, my mental health is doing a lot better, and I even started doing better in my classes. I started doubting myself a lot that semester, whether or not college was really right for me or KU was right for me. And the rec center really made a huge difference in that. Started having, you know, just a better time overall, started doing better in my classes. So yeah, went down there hanging out with my friends. We even started using Central Field, throwing frisbee around, doing some spike ball, and really engaging on a social level was something that I had kind of been missing. And I kind of found that with the rec center. So fast forward a little bit to the summer, I applied for a job there. It's the first thing I think of when I'm looking for a job on campus. And, you know, I just had noticed that, you know, the community behind the desk always seemed really nice and really, you know, welcoming as I came in. So I kind of wanted to get involved on that. And I was definitely right. Those guys were great. It was just an awesome experience overall. I've gotten to know so many people and work my way up to program manager now. And it truly, like, you know, you get to interact with thousands of students who go here to KU from all over the campus. And even getting to engage even more directly with the student employees there is just such an important part of why the rec center is so important to me, and how it's had such an impact on me as well. Even in my current position, I've been getting a lot of professional experience working at the rec, being a program manager, working in personnel, and a lot of it has kind of helped me guide my career goals even. And so I say all this not to, you know, distract from the necessary details of talking about the budget presentation, but just to really impress on you the personal impact that this has had on me. And I know several of you, you know, come to the rec. I've seen many of you there before. It truly does have an impact on the students. It truly is such an important space. And it needs to be something that's serving them properly the way that other rec centers around the region are as well. So just wanted to say that, just impressing on the importance that this budget really has a direct impact on thousands of students here. So with all of that said, you know, telling you a little bit about myself, I hope you're thinking about that as we continue to go through this presentation. I'll pass off to Jason, maybe to get into some more details. But
Thanks, Harrison. By the way, that there was no prompt to that. Those are Harrison's words, and I'm sitting over there going, man, that's pretty cool. The one thing, when we talk about all of our stuff today, we're not going to get into in the presentation part into the details of the simulations. That's all there. We're happy to talk and discuss that, but we want to talk more about kind of what our ask is going forward. First thing we want to talk about is our facility maintenance fee. It's a $3.25 fee. The Ambler turns 20 this year. And so as buildings age, lots of things start breaking and start happening. And so what we're trying to do is trying to avoid deferred maintenance. And if you know what that means, that basically stuff you have to put off. Well, I'll fix the air conditioner next year. I'll fix this next year. I'll do whatever. And this fee helps us not have to do that. It takes care of kind of the big ticket items that I'll show you here in a second that are out there. And so we want to try to keep that from happening. We do have two projects that are going to come up that we would like to use this fee for. One next year is the AHU, that's air handling unit reheat project. It's $140,000. For those that have used the rec center, if you go to the back part, the addition to the rec center, it tends to be a little bit colder than the main part. And what this project's going to do is help us balance that out. Fortunately, it costs $140,000 to do that. The next year, so 2025, we have air handling unit maintenance and repair for the decadent wheels for the original part of the building. That's almost $250,000. And so I say that just that how important this fee is and what it does for us. So for example, and these are all just kind of things that happen in aging buildings, different things that we're going to have to be ready to address moving forward. And what I want to get at is that eventually this fee has to roll over large sums of money. So it can't come down and balance out every year to zero. At some point, we're going to have 500,000 in it. We're going to have $1 million in it because of expenses like this. If you look right there in the middle, air handling units, when it's time to replace those are $150,000 each. And we have 11 of those. And so that's why I'm saying that fee has to kind of balance itself out and has to be large at some point so that we can then take care of these expenses as they move forward. So that's kind of the big overview of our facility maintenance fee. I want to talk about operations as well. And the one thing we're proposing this year is that we want to combine the sport club fee into the operations fee and then treat it just like all of our other programs. Treat it like intramurals, outdoor pursuits, fitness, personal training, all that kind of stuff. And then the other big part is sometimes I think students may forget that you guys own these facilities. You own the rec facilities that are on campus, and not just the Ambler, but the tennis courts, the sand volleyball courts, the central field that Harrison talked about. We've got another one coming up that we'll talk about a little bit later, and that you guys pay for everything. And so everything is all the stuff we know about, like salaries and programs and all of that kind of thing. But the couple things that I like to bring up are unforeseen expenses. And so, for example, last year in FY22, we had $150,000 of unforeseen expenses of repairs that had to happen that we weren't planning on, but that we had to do. So those are unforeseen repairs, and then unfunded mandates. So these could be things like, right now in the simulation, we're planning for a 2.5% raise in salaries, right? But the governor's already talking about 5%. So if that happens, then somehow we'll have to fund that additional 2.5%. And I believe I ran the numbers today for that, and I think it was 25,000-ish that we have to pay in addition. Other unfunded mandates could be increases in utilities, increases in administrative overhead. Those are for services that take place, financial services that take place, HR services that take place that we then have to pay for. And then kind of just
I just wanted to say, in terms of those unforeseen repairs, those do happen quite often. One of them happened while we were getting ready for this exact presentation last week. One of our dryers even went out, the steam line blew. I think it was like, what, $2,000 to get even just a quote on what it was going to cost to, help fix that. So these things really do happen all the time. And that even has had a serious effect on our ability to get towels out to people coming into the rec as well. So these things impact the students every single time they happen.
Good, thank you. And then just the other part to it, not that we compare ourselves to others, but we compare ourselves to others in everything we do, right? We just do that. And so we do it on the rec side as well. And we're starting to see that KU has been left behind in a lot of different things. This is required campus fees, and I have 3 different examples from our latest data, and that data was from FY22. Up in the upper left, state of Kansas campus fees, you see we're just below the average, and the only state school that's less than us is Emporia State. Our Big 12 friends, our fee is the lowest fee of all of the Big 12. And then the peer institutions are the institutions that KU has defined as peers. And we're sitting second to last. And in that, Michigan State's sitting at 100. They actually had a referendum that doubled their fee to 200. So they've moved far over to the left.
CU Boulder charges $352 a semester for rec
Yes.
fees.
And they have massive and incredible rec facilities.
Hey, better.
Yeah.
Hey, not a solid gold.
Yeah.
Wow.
Indoor square feet per student, same comparison, state of Kansas, we're at 6.7. The national industry standard is 10 square feet per student. Big 12, again, only Baylor and Texas Tech have less square feet per student. And then again, on our peer institutions, we're still on the lower end of that. We found out through a master plan that we did that KU is about 100,000 square feet short of indoor space for a like-sized university. To make a comparison here, our rec center currently is 150,000 square feet. So 2/3 of that in addition is what the industry standard is saying that we should have.
And this information is in the questions as well, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all in our
That we
questions.
submitted, so.
Yeah.
you all can-
Just some quick snapshots of our peers. This is Oklahoma State and what they do. Really cool functional fitness studio down here. Would be neat. This is Texas Tech's outdoor pool area. And this is Iowa's climbing wall. They have a 300,000 square foot rec center. Good news is next year, we actually will have two new turf fields that are being currently built out at Shank right now. We're calling it a super field because that's going to be one big flat piece of turf. It's going to have lights on it, fence around it. And that's part of Endowment's project that's happening out there. It's currently under construction. Other things that would be kind of cool that are out there, and again, our master plan is in your files that you have. This is phase 3 of the rec center, which would have a similar kind of functional fitness area. Over there on the top, the track would be extended. We'd have more aerobic studios, and then this indoor space as well. Phase 4 would be a recreational pool. And again, neither one of these are currently funded. And then just kind of also kind of a cool feature that a lot of universities have out there is a climbing tower. It's like a challenge course, but it's more vertical than it is linear. So these are all kind of neat features that we'd like to get into talking about with our master plan. I think with that, I think I pass it over to Jill.
I can just talk about the great stuff. Actually, the engagement aspect, how many students we kind of see within our facilities. And then our kind of motto is, what about the other 60%? So we have typically about 40% of the students walk in our door at least one time, which is still pretty good, but obviously we want everybody to use it, and as many people who obviously we would want to come in. And looking at engagement, one of the things obviously coming out of the pandemic is loneliness coming out. I did just read some research from the Global Wellness Summit, and one of their top 10 wellness trends for this year is actually gathering is one of them. So which correlates with loneliness as well. And so I feel like that we are a place where people can actually come and actually not feel lonely, as Harrison shared with us as well, or getting to know people and just being amongst people. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to completely engage and have major conversation. But the other thing that I thought was interesting was one of the KU professors here on campus, they just did a research that conversation just once a day actually decreases your stress and increases your happiness. So if you talk to somebody, whether it's your friend or somebody who just shows interest in you or is joking around with you or whatever, that you're actually, and we feel like we welcome people. Harrison and a lot of his staff often, if you've ever come, are trying to, ensure that you're having a great experience. We care about every student that walks through our door, and we want them to know that they're welcome there. So this was just some engagement things. So we're probably one of the main places on campus that we are used on a regular basis throughout the week. Most people possibly 2 to 3 times a week come in. We have individuals who play badminton, who come in and play pickleball, who, lift weights, go around the track, play table tennis, those types of things. So obviously our KU Fit Pass holders oftentimes will come in maybe 2 or 3 times a week to take a class, a yoga class. Our sport clubs, when looking at numbers, it's around 1,200, 1,100 students that actually participate. But if you look at how much engagement they have, they're practicing 2 to 3 times a week. And then on top of that, they may have 6 to 8 games or tournaments per season that they're traveling somewhere and maybe playing a Friday, Saturday, and maybe even a Sunday aspect. So the number of engagements that they have, participations essentially, of those 12,000 or 1,200 people actually is a lot bigger. Intramurals, usually 4-week season, and then you have some playoffs, so maybe 1 to 2 times, and then the rock climbing wall. We've actually added some hours, and so we're hoping on the weekend to actually get individuals who maybe, want to come relieve some stress, and usually during the week they're busy or something. So hopefully that will help. This is just talking about program engagement. Again, this is in your questions. We have this, but it just shows about participation is on your left, I guess, and participants is on the right. The difference is participants is like a unique user, and participations is like somebody who may come multiple times. So we have, in the last fall, we had 2,300 individual students participate in intramural. That's what it's saying. So And we're down a little bit, I guess, and I was getting sport clubs up there, but they're at 921 in the fall, but we might pick up some people here this spring. This is just the entries into the rec center as a whole. And this is just showing our differences and where we're projecting. So we're kind of moving back pre-COVID. We're not there yet, but it's really showing that that students and the community are enjoying the facility and are coming back and feeling comfortable using the facilities. So what about the other 60%? As I mentioned, the 40% already come in at least one time, even if it's just to take a tour of the building or see it. We added some things because we're really trying to make sure everybody understands this is not just for athletes. It's not just for fitness people. It's not, we want you here, come take a look, find something that you can do. We're adding different things all the time, like teak ball. I don't know if you've seen that. Tech ball? Tech ball. I always say it wrong. Sorry. It's like the table tennis thing with soccer ball. Looks very hard. I'm not a soccer player. So we have on our website, new to rec. So we want people to understand, what is it when you walk in the building? What is it going to look like? You know, fear of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. So it gives kind of step-by-step things to think about if you want to come in. Assessment, we're looking at focusing on barriers for transgender and international students. So understanding why maybe they don't want to come to our facilities, or maybe they don't know about our what we offer, or they don't feel comfortable in our facilities. So understanding their needs to try to ensure that they know that we're there for them. Wheelchair basketball conversations. We've had some in the past had these conversations, and we've just had an individual come to us talking about trying to get a club wheelchair basketball going through our sport club program, which can be able-bodied individuals as well participating. We've done different events throughout the years with some DEIB stuff, like our inclusive rec night that we've had before. So I just wanted to point out, Quidditch has actually changed to quad ball because of the author of Harry Potter and their views. So they've actually changed to quad ball, and the club has actually chosen to change as well to make sure that people feel welcome. And lastly, rec services DEIB strategies. So we have created a committee. So throughout all that's happened during COVID, we had the opportunity as a group to actually sit down and create strategies as far as full-time staff, and then we introduced them to students and got their feedback too. There are 9 strategies. They're on our website. There's actually a DIB on the menu. So if you're ever interested in them, there are things like assessing our materials for bias, standard interview questions that we have for both full-time and our student staff that include DEIB strategies as well. So quite a few different things there. FY asks, so down to the nitty-gritty here. We are not asking for any change in the facility maintenance fee. So the $325 we're asking to keep, though. As Jason mentioned, we're needing it to stay and keep rolling up so we get enough money to keep making all those repairs and system increases, upgrades, since we'll need them. We're looking at our operations fee, and our ask is $4.25. And I know that seems a lot. I want to share with you exactly what that means and what students gain from that. So $1.25 of that is actually just to get us balanced from FY, our required 90-day, and that's just for the 400,000, correct? Our 90-day balance is actually 7,000, 700.
750,000 is supposed to be fully funded.
And so they allow us to have a 400,000 90-day reserve. So that's not even fully getting us back to our full 90-day. But so when FY24 comes around, we're already short if we don't get an increase of $1.25. Program budget increase. I'll talk about that and what that really does, but $2 there. And then the last dollar in FY25, if you look at the simulations, it's going to show you that we're going to have a very large deficit. And so instead of having to ask for another, I mean, we'll still need a large increase, probably ask, but if not, this can help buffer it a little bit to help us so that students aren't getting nailed on that on the next time. So So what can this 425 in terms, as I mentioned, the 90-day reserve. So if we don't get this, then we have to look at where areas that we can cut. One of the biggest things we've done in the last couple of years with all our cuts has been hours, but the second part is upgrades to fitness equipment. So our fitness equipment is getting older. As you can see, this is the first year we're going to be fully funded in 7 years. So we used to have a 3-year upgrade program to keep our equipment updated, to not have breakdowns and be paying for all that. So that would be fantastic. If that would be our first place where we would have to actually cut, because it is a decently large number. So when we do cuts, we end up there, as well as sometimes hours. So that affects, and I think that was in our questions as well, what would happen with 5% decrease and the 10%. The program budget increase, we haven't really been able to keep up with trends, because we are just maintaining what we're doing, because we're getting cuts in the last couple of years. And I know many are as well. But we also don't have the ability to do a lot of cool and fun things that may draw different people to the rec center. So I'm just going to give you some ideas of things. These are just ideas. It doesn't mean we more than likely, these came from my programming staff, but in talking to students. So archery tag, outdoor fitness areas, these have been really popular. So it's like shipping containers have stuff in it, and you pull it out and you can have a workout outside. That would have been really cool during COVID, I know, but those are really cool things. Another thing would be crate stacking, is a competition for the climbing wall areas. Lots of different schools do those, and they actually bring other schools in and do competitions with it. And then a couple other ideas are outdoor pursuit day trips. So go somewhere and hike, or go somewhere and canoe, those types of things. Movable boxing bags. So we have a boxing program, but they don't have the ability to have anything to hit. So that would be good. 6 or 8 week workshops for all these different topic areas we could foresee, as well as some climbing bouldering competitions. And then the last thing for the dollar, again, is we're forecasting an $837 deficit in FY25. So we will more than likely need another 425 request. As you can see in this, that's the simulations, a copy of the simulations. I know I gave you all the good and bad information there, and a lot of it. What kind of questions do you guys have for us? Hopefully I haven't done it.
Yeah, go ahead. Ryan.
A very good presentation, and I like your services. I use Rec Center too. I'm more interested in the feedback process. The last feedback or the document in this folder is from 2016. And yes, or maybe if the date is incorrect.
What, are you talking about the master plan?
No, the feedback responses in the folder. The PDF.
Oh.
So that's
Oh,
part of our master plan process. One of the questions that you guys, I think, had was what can you do for phase 3 and phase 4 or whatever. Those questions were questions that we used to help develop the master plan. And so the master plan was published in 2018 ish. So it's about 2017. So it's about 5 years old. That was just an example of how we could find feedback and what fed the executive summary of the master plan.
So, but do you take feedback like other than this?
Oh, yeah, we take feedback all the time. Absolutely.
We're actually looking to do like a QR code to get feedback from students, since we are going to be able to do some upgrades in some of the fitness equipment areas. And so you'll be seeing that soon out there, that we'll do some QR codes or have it out there so students can provide what they're looking for and interested in.
What those questions helped us do was develop what big things students wanted in the future. And that's what formed phase 3 and phase 4 plans that are part of the master plan.
It was a needs assessment to understand for construction what the students were needing. So, but you're always welcome to send us feedback or tell our staff even Through our email, recreation@ku.edu, we respond to individuals. We don't just take your feedback. We also like to respond. And if needed, have a conversation. I know Jason has met with a group.
Wonderful. Zachary?
Just sort of continuing the conversation from last year, but I remember what brought up with hours and the hours of operation. Has there been any sort of thought to change that up in fiscal year? Or is it?
To increase our hours.
Yes, and based upon the feedback you brought in, or so, maybe that maybe increase, just more so shifting. I know the current operations is what 6 to 10:30 every day, and shifts in the weekends. Is there any feedback process for like any input about that?
Yeah, so every time you're scanning in, you're scanning into our software package called Fusion. And in Fusion, we can run reports to show what our usage is. And so how we've decided to scale back our hours typically are based off of that. And so Saturday and Sundays are days that have the least amount of use. And so to affect the least amount of students, we reduced more hours there than we did Monday through Thursday. And so it's based off of that. To expand back just means, I think the figure I have is $55,000 a year to add 1 hour of time back into our schedule.
Those decisions to cut hours were made under duress.
Major budget
When
cuts.
those conversations happened, and it was not pretty. I mean, it's not, but yeah, so those are out of necessity, not.
And, you know, you also ask about the 5% and 10% decrease, what would happen to our budget? So in the simulation, we show, you know, it means, I think the 10% is a 3-hour a day cut per day. We close on Saturdays and we're only open like 3 hours on Sundays. So a big cut like that would really affect our billing hours. The other part to the budget, any kind of budget cuts, the unfortunate part is that it affects students the most, meaning, because I can't cut utilities, you can't cut salaries, you can't cut student pay. The things that you can cut are building hours and programs. And that affects student employment, that affects your ability to play in those programs. And so it can make it very difficult.
And they also have to remember that we try to bring in revenue and we're generating more revenue. And part of that is the KU community having access, so faculty, staff paying, or alumni paying as well. And if we look at only students, so, you know, if we said, oh, we're gonna open at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're not probably gonna get a lot of faculty staff because a lot of them want to come early morning. There's a lot of students that actually want to come early morning as well, but then you're also decreasing the chances of revenue. And that has hurt us a little bit because we've had to be closed over winter breaks when a lot of times faculty staff are in the area. And so they don't have anywhere to go, you know, as well. And that, I mean, they're a smaller group than students, but.
Did you get your answer?
Yeah.
Fully?
What, I'll get to you in a second, Prasad. What percentage of your, so I know that you sell memberships to I think, faculty and staff, right?
Spouse, domestic partner, alumni.
Okay, so do faculty and staff automatically have access, or do they have to pay for that? Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. So how much revenue do you bring in per year based on that?
So in the pandemic, when we were in the heart of the pandemic, we brought in about $40,000. Last year, we brought in $98,000. This year, we're projected to bring in $175,000.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic, we were about the $200,000 level. So we're getting much closer to where we were, and a big jump from last year. That's all of our, that's membership, but that's the main part.
Yeah.
Biggest part of it, but some of our programs have fees.
Okay.
As well that come with that.
Yeah, wonderful, thank you. Let's go Turner.
Have you looked into other ways to get revenue? Like I go to Genesis because I have to swim. First
Yeah.
job I'm training for. Sorry, that's right.
That's okay. Hey, you know what,
I'm sorry.
we have no pool.
We love
But what I was gonna get at is that they like sell smoothies and supplements and like bars and all that sort of stuff.
I have a thing that I would love to be able to, Shake Smart. Shake Smart is the thing that we could fit into our lobby. A lot of the schools down south have them. University of Texas has renegotiated their Shake Smart deal 4 different times because it's gone off so well. It has to be done in a partnership with dining. And so, as you know, probably through their presentation, dining's struggling right now, and so it's not something they're willing to pick up right away. But we have done some brand activations this past fall that we haven't had in the past. We brought in about $5,000 with Adidas, Amazon, and those two. And we did about 4 different ones of those activations. So that's a new source. And then we're also going to raise our membership rates for faculty, staff, spouses, and domestic partners for the first time since the building's been opened. And that's going to start in July 1.
Yeah, so you said you have fairly regular maintenance upkeep. For most of that, is that done like externally, or are you hiring like a contractor? Is it?
So that has begun to flex. Almost all of that used to be in-house with KU and facility services. And we're now finding that facility services is more of a stopgap emergency and preventive maintenance. And that any kind of major repairs now are happening from outside contractors. Those outside contractors bring with them a show up fee. So just to walk in our door, it's $150. And then whatever hourly rate that they do on top of that. So that's where some of our expenses have gotten bigger, is because we're now dealing with outside sources as opposed to facility services.
We also have indoor maintenance staff as well. So although we have preventive maintenance for HVACs and those types of things, we have individuals in our building who do help us with, daily and checking our fitness equipment. They can repair the fitness equipment aspects. And like we can get parts, and a lot of times they can fix those. But as far as like the big building stuff, what Jason was just saying.
Can I give you one example of how we save some money? So this just happened last year. The plugins that you do for HDMI ports or whatever. We've got a classroom in our upstairs that they went defunct and they weren't working. So we asked the company, how much would it cost for you to come in and make that repair? $2,500. We said, man, that sounds like a lot of money. So our staff, associate director for facilities, and our maintenance guys created a plan. And for $250 in parts, they went and installed all of that themselves. And so we are very conservative with our money when we can be, and then other times when we can't, we have to do with whatever somebody has. But in that case, we were able to save quite a bit of money. Colin?
So I've just heard from talking to various reps and stuff with sports clubs, particularly rowing, that running those is extremely expensive, and they always seem to have a struggle for funding and things like that. So does any part of this budget increase kind of help out sports clubs? How has absorbing them kind of gone so far, and are there systems in place to kind of make sure that they can continue to get an equitable distribution of funds?
Yeah, so when I proposed to them to be absorbed into our regular fee, I wanted a vote from them, and I gave them all what I thought were the positives and negatives. And it was a 29-to-1 vote to be absorbed into the regular fee. They had, what's that?
Who was the one?
Baseball.
Checks. So that's one part of it. The other is that I also promised them that if our fee didn't go down, that their allocation wasn't going to go down. And so if we are able to stay the same, then we'll keep them the same. But from this point forward, we'll treat them like every other program. So if we have a major budget cut, then we typically spread it across all of our areas. So that means they would go down lower than what they have in the past 2 years, where they've taken major cuts. Their fee used to be $4. It was now $1.50 this current fiscal year. And that's why we're trying to absorb them. Joel may be able to talk a little bit more of just kind of the difficulties. From what I'm hearing, that they've had to reduce the number of competitions that they go to. They've had to increase the amount of personal money that they've had to put into the club to be able to do whatever it is that they're doing. And then next year will be probably the first year they're really going to feel it. They've had some members or some students who didn't want to become members because of the cost that it would be to be a part of that program.
I think crew is definitely feeling that effect. They have pretty high dues. And then on top of it, they're fundraising too and all of that stuff. So And they have bought new shelves and stuff that they're making payments on, so it can definitely affect them. With the, in terms of, we would definitely look at being, you know, equal or what can they gain by additional, parts of that dollar amount. So we would look, although I didn't give any examples, really what would happen would be they would get more funding to go into travel or equipment repairs that they have, you know, so they would be part of that process.
Samantha?
Can you give us some proportions on the items that are the equipment that needs to be replaced because they're, you know, broken or about to, like, they're on their last legs, and between the ones that are just old? Some of the stuff some of the comments in the 2016 feedback survey mentioned that there's a lot of machines that aren't being used. So how do you prioritize the things that need to get, you know, replaced because they're old or replaced because they're on their last legs?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we tend to observe for sure, get feedback from students, ask individuals that are participating. As in the next, as I said, we're trying to get feedback through QR codes and a survey that students can give us their feedback. So obviously trends and fitness change. So when we first opened our building, the survey that was done before the building was open was cardio, which obviously the trend has changed a lot. So, you know, we anticipate that we're gonna see, I mean, we added racks. We had 3 squat racks when we first opened. So we've actually increased already. We know that's not enough. Again, we don't have the space. I mean, we'd love to do more, obviously. We need more space, we need more equipment. And so we will be taking that information to upgrade the equipment. So like treadmills, obviously they have motors, so they're like, it's harder to keep functioning, treadmills, belts and decks and stuff. Versus a bike, you know, a bike doesn't have as much mechanical aspect to it. So normally we would try to trade out all our treadmills first, but in this aspect, we're gonna get feedback. So we anticipate getting feedback more looking at strength, so we probably will do a combo, is what I foresee.
Our dumbbells are used a lot more than
Yeah.
they were in the past. I happened to walk out to our weight room area right before we left today at 5. And our front row is nothing but treadmills, and there's probably 15 treadmills up there. 11 of them were being used. There was 8 elliptical machines, 0 of them were being used. I look back over at the top in our upper area, 2/3 of the treadmills up against the rail were being used. So nothing is like broke, sitting in a closet or whatever, but it's a lot of this.
Yeah.
Hoping that stuff doesn't break because some of that stuff is now 7 years old.
What about Robinson? The pool in Robinson?
It's not accessible. So we had made the decision coming into this budget year that we weren't going to support open swim because we were spending $30,000 a year to be able to make that happen, just to rent the facility. And we felt we could use that money somewhere better before then. Between then, that decision being made and the fall semester beginning, operations of Robinson pools switched from health, sport, and exercise science to then operations, and then now athletics. And so athletics has basically said, the only thing that we're allowing in the pools right now are our swim and dive team, and that there's no open swim time available for many, many reasons. One is lifeguard shortage, but also just because that's typically not what athletic departments do, is operate a pool. And so right now, the pool's closed and not accessible for open swim.
Yeah, so if we only give you the $1.25 increase for your fee, what would that look like in the coming year for you guys?
It would mean status quo, period. It would mean no ability to fluctuate and adjust to any kind of new trends that come up. It means that we then have a kind of a razor thin edge. So if something major happened from a repair standpoint, it'd be hard for us to react to it. And then we also wouldn't be able to be planning for FY25 when we know there's going to be a really big deficit. So then that ask becomes even bigger at that point.
Go ahead. How many unique individual students are you seeing a month? Based off
Ooh, a
those
month?
numbers? Yeah.
You may have to look that up. The figure we use is 40% of students come into the building at least once.
A semester.
No, for the academic year. So 24,000 students on campus, I think that comes out to 11-ish throughout the year. I don't know, it may take us a little bit to look up.
How about just usage, like period, number of check-ins?
Yeah, so that was, we're projecting 330,000. For this year, we were at 270 last year.
And what were you at before, COVID?
Was that it?
I think it was 400.
400, 1,800.
Yeah. So 401. 401, 268 last year, so we've increased 30, almost 40% from last year. And we're projecting 331 for this year.
So it's like the trend for increased usage built into the cost trend for the next 5 years.
I wouldn't say for the next 5 years. What that does, you know, we used to be open until midnight. We used to open at 5:30 in the morning. We were able to spread those 400,000 people out. And because we've reduced our hours, those 331,000 are using a smaller amount of time. So it shows, we show more crowded.
Samantha? Okay. Anyone else? Samantha, if you want your question asked, speak now. Okay, awesome. Thank you all so much for coming in today. Really appreciate your presentation.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
guys.
I will see.
This is, we understand it's your last presentation.
Yeah, you know.
So thanks for the.
Okay, we made it. This excluding deliberations, the worst day. So thank you so much for sticking in. I'm gonna hang out here. If you have questions or concerns, please come and talk to me for a little bit, and then I will see you down in full Senate. I don't know how the absence situation works. I assume if you just email Nathaniel, this is like the definition of an excused absence. Frankly, this is the most important thing Senate probably does all year. So thank you so much, and I'm here to talk if anyone wants to.
Camden, do you have any questions for me?
Hang on just a second, Casey.
Yep.
I think we are good. Is there anything that you need from us?
No, and I will be there all day tomorrow. So,
Okay, go to bed, go see your kids, do something other than
All right.
this. I'll see you.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.